Yeah, everybody go ahead. I want everybody who wants to say one last. You want to be the last?
He was patient. He deserves it.
You'll wait till the end. Go ahead.
I feel no matter who wins or lose, we have to take advantage of the momentum and continue doing the work, whether reactively or proactively. If Kamala Harris loses, that sends a strong message that she did not do enough to earn the pro-peace voters' votes, and that's on her.
Let me no. I get it. Sure. Honestly, everyone have a right, honestly, to vote for whatever they want. Democrat, Republican, or others. But we look at it, honestly, we did a study. As an organization, we did a study. And we look at what is a positive and negative, honestly, for each party they doing. We got no choice right now. I'm going to say, is a Yemenis right now I'm talking. The situations we have in Yemen, we have no choice. We have to get help somehow. Whatever we could get the help from. We cannot get help for almost 8 years or 10 years, honestly, during the Biden or others. But right now, honestly, with Trump, we got is a protocol promises, and he will do it, honestly, for the Yemenis, and he will do it. The second thing we said, what is after the elections? We have a plan. What is the plan is going to be? We're going to work after the elections with like a lobbyist going after the administration to make sure, honestly, all the promises is being done. And the most of it, actually, we need to stop the bloodshed, honestly, in Lebanon and Palestine and Yemen.
Who's next? Go ahead.
What I see right now reminds me of a lot of conversations that were happening when I was in college and the U.S. first went into Iraq. And the debate in the Muslim community was incrementalism versus like just completely withdrawing from this system. It's playing out again, and we're going through what marginalized communities in this country have gone through for decades. And it's just getting worse because things keep getting worse in the Middle East. For me, it's just a little surreal. This is not a political comment. It's just surreal that we're sitting here talking about the slaughter of our people intellectually. This is what American politics have done to us. Yeah. And I don't feel good about it. I feel sick about it, honestly. And this is what drives me and my choices. So for me, it was never, even if this genocide didn't happen, I would not vote for Harris. It's either leave the top of the ticket blank or vote third party. I've been voting. I voted for Ralph Nader. I voted for Jill Stein, whatever. This system is beyond rigged. It's not dysfunctional. It's functioning exactly as it's supposed to function. So for us, and I do want to say to Ali, the youngest person here, your opening statement about us always being brothers and sisters, I think is the most important part of this. Because when all the politics fall away, none of our lives are worth anything to either of these people. And that's it. And that's it. That's the truth. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
We've got Dr. Ali.
You know, I have similar sentiments as Zainab here. I personally, when I look at this, when I look at November 7th, it doesn't bring me as a Muslim or as an Arab any more value that I vote on November 7th. I'm not going to deter...
5th. Well, you shouldn't vote on November 7th. You shouldn't vote. Let
me just say that again. But, you know, we talk a lot about November 5th. And, you know, as a Muslim, as an Arab, it doesn't bring me any more value. It doesn't affirm who I am, right? I'm a dignified individual, and I matter as a human being. And I think what's very unfortunate about American politics, as Muslims, as Arabs, as brown people, right? I'm a footnote. And I only matter when I potentially can bring down this empire or contribute to it, right? And I just want to say that the voices that are allowing Palestinians and Lebanese to be dehumanized and the bombs that are dropping on them, it's the same type of values that dehumanize us when they come to us for a vote. It's one and the same. And I won't, and I know as an American, right, as a physician, I worked through the pandemic. I was on the front lines. I did the most that I can to save my countrymen. And I do it still through the opioid epidemic. I see it every day. I see how everyday Americans cope with a broken system that does not, right, help them in any way. It doesn't bring them health care. It doesn't solve their infrastructure problem. It does not bring them food at the end of the day on their table. And I want to say that this is not a system that I can support. And it's the same system that dehumanizes them as well. right? And so I matter before or after this vote. It doesn't bring me any more value. And, I think I have to agree with my brother Tariq here, my sister Zainab. I don't believe in a system that actively commits genocide against our people and has been for decades. Since I was a kid. 100%. I grew up about seeing the bloodshed in the Middle East. And this is just obviously much more eye-opening because it is live streamed, like you said, right? And it is a very small, population that's so vulnerable. But anyways, that's all I have to say. Thanks.
The problem with our system is the money. We have the most corrupt political system in the world. The only difference between us and the third world, we basically legalize corruption, and we call it campaign finance laws. And I always say, before you end the occupation in Palestine, you have to end the occupation of Congress. And the only way to do that is to make sure that this system is the way, get the money out of politics, get the money out of healthcare, get the money that's killing this country. And if we don't do that, and I feel as an Arab American and a Muslim American, is that I'm actually fighting for the soul of America. Because right now, what these policymakers and what they're doing with this genocide is America has lost its soul, its integrity, its world standing. I'm an immigrant. And as an immigrant, we have a special affinity to this country. Ali here is a doctor. His dad came when I was a kid, and I used to work with his dad selling ice cream. And now he's a very successful businessman. His kids are all educated. That's what America's all about. I'm a son of a cobbler. And now I'm a businessman. I ran for U.S. Senate. So this is the American dream. But in order to keep the American dream alive, we have to make sure that we work to fix this broken, corrupt political system. And that's what we need to strive for. This election, after this election, and moving forward.
Nadia's got some things to say.
No, I have a lot to say, but I'm just going to keep it simple. Obviously, both parties are not deserving of any of our votes when they've given us nothing in return except mutilated and dismembered bodies. So I would like to sleep well at night, and I'm voting third party. I also, all of us are feeling, there's just so much internal anger inside and frustration because of everything that we've witnessed over the last year, and it's actually traumatizing and horrifying. But I feel this internal anger, instead of it being towards each other, needs to be shifted towards this broken system. This system that has been put in place to work against us, and this system that continues to send billions of our tax dollars towards this genocidal regime, which we could use it here for, struggling average Americans. So that's where I stand, and both parties are two sides of the same coin. And
he's gone now, but he said America lost its integrity, and I was going to make the point that America, since its inception, didn't actually have integrity. But no, but on a serious note, I think one thing people lose sight of, when they talk about these two parties, and again, I think it's if I could leave here having accomplished one thing, it would be to convince everybody that every time we bring up the discussion about the Democrats didn't do this and the Republicans didn't do this and whatever, it's that's the whole point. They are both two fronts of a corporate empire. The only reason why they come to Dearborn, for example, and beg for our votes is because they want to ingest us into the system. Why? Because when you vote, you're not just voting for one candidate. You're voting for the legitimacy of the system. And if you want to see, pay attention to how the U.S. empire deals with the elections in countries that are opposed to U.S. hegemony. Look at how the U.S. empire and the corporate media deal with Cuba, Venezuela, the Islamic Republic of Iran. All of these countries, whenever their elections come around, the U.S. empire is always talking about how the people don't believe in the system and the elections are rigged and blah, blah, blah. Why? Because they want to delegitimize the system so that they can go take some lovely U.S. democracy to them. So if you reverse engineer that, then it's the same same idea. When you go and vote, there's like, if you play the game, you have to accept the outcomes. If you go vote for Kamala or Trump or even Jill Stein, although she's obviously different than them, although I think she has issues as well, but whoever you vote for, you're ultimately voting for the system. When you vote, you're giving consent for the system to govern over you. And when the sister mentioned that real political activism is not one day every 4 years. That's the biggest facade of U.S. democracy, is that you come every 4 years, you pick one of two hand-chosen candidates who are both set up to screw you out. Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, he literally said, I'm sick and tired of hearing people say that this is the most important election of our lifetime, because in the long run, it doesn't matter. Like, he's the CEO of the largest asset managing firm in the whole world. And he's literally telling you it doesn't matter who you vote for because we're in conversation with both parties. Like, you're getting it from the horse's mouth. But then we still come back and talk about how, well, you know, we gotta make sure that we hold them accountable, and the Democrats and blah 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 and all this stuff. And then just the last point that I want to end with is, like, it's not that they just devalue the lives of people in West Asia, so-called Middle East, or like brown people or whatever. These people don't care about black people. They don't care about brown people. They don't even care about white people. They could care less. You're just talking about the opioid epidemic. 90% of the opioids in the world were coming out of Afghanistan after the US invaded Afghanistan. It's the U.S. military sending opioids, just like how Ronald Reagan brought crack to America. They don't care about black, white, anything. They care about the bottom line, which is their profits.
The pandemic disproportionately affects white people.
Right, so they don't care. It's not about, like, even this whole idea of, like,
they completely devalue human life.
Yeah. So and they want to constantly play on this idea that, like, oh, you know, white people have it so great. Like, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. The country's falling apart. Like, they don't care about anybody. They just don't care about anybody. It's not a broken system, as you said. The system is functioning exactly as it's meant to. It's an evil system. It's a satanic system. Bottom line.
What's amazing is that everybody agrees on that.
Can I say something real quick?
Engage with the system.
Yeah, so withdrawing from it and then organizing for things like strikes, boycott, direct action, because as long as you keep playing their game, like, you're perpetuating the system, and they're laughing. They're like, we have these people in the bag. They don't even get it.
Local elections.
Local elections.
That's right. Honestly, we get a vote for the people we trust. They could fix the system from the side.
I don't trust any of them.
Let's find out. Like,
All right. Hold on. I want to continue the conversation, but for time's sake, Hueda wanted to say one last thing, and then we give the last comment to Ali, and then I actually want this conversation to continue for real in real life. But yeah.
Off camera.
Yeah. No. Like, it should.
I mean, there's so much to say about kind of the depth of the corruption and how we work to change it, but I just want to kind of simplify it and bring it back to specifically our community, but I think all Americans, we're just in a really shitty situation right now. And in terms of, like, the Democrats who always pull themselves up, you know, put themselves out as the more moral, humanistic, broad tent-based, we care about everybody party. They're really responsible for screwing us and putting us into this situation where they're about to lose to someone who they claim is a fascist and who has done so much harm to our country before, simply because they wouldn't take a strong stance against genocide. Simply because Kamala can't get out there and say that she will respect U.S. law when it comes to weapons transfers to any country. Like, how simple is that? And we might not be in the situation that we're in, but I think the most important thing that is said here is that people should vote their conscience, right? And it's important how you vote, but it's more important what you do after. And on November 6th and 7th and after, we have a lot of work to do. If it's Trump that is elected, I think a lot of our allies, communities, friends will be threatened, will be probably harmed, and we have to make sure that we are working. Obviously, we want a lot of people to care about our issues, and we have to be right there with them, with their issues. So whatever happens, the work continues.
Absolutely. And Ali, to close it out, patiently, waited to close it out.
So, I'm going back to, like, when I did the introduction. You know, whether as I said, you are a Republican, a Democrat, a third party, I swear to you, I look at you like my brother and sister, and I don't care what you are. And then we're one. We gotta be one to be together. I personally believe the policies, the political policy promises that Trump is making with us Arabs, it'll go into the White House. I like my brother right here. He's thinking logical. Yeah, I really do respect it, and I love the way he's thinking. But then it's a system. It's America's system. I wish if you have a plan to change it, I'm with you. But it's too big of a system to play out. As I said, I love that you're thinking out of the box. It really is a good thing to think out. But then you have two people to vote for, and I really think that's a big impact that you can do. With us Arab, we gotta be together. Us Yemenis, Lebanese, Iraqi, wallah, if we don't show them that we're together, they'll never care about us. We gotta stick together. I'm voting President Trump, but that shouldn't. You're voting for Jill Stein, but I'm still looking at you and you the same way. At the end of the day, Yom Al Qiyamah, Day of Judgment, it will be nothing but just tests.